Art Smart Shorties with Mr. Craig. Hey gang, welcome to Art Smart Shorties with Mr. Craig. I'm Mr. Craig, and I represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay, specifically the Youth Arts Initiative, and we're super proud and happy with the Arts Initiative. We're doing some great things, but the purpose for these little quick lessons is to kind of give you guys some exposure to skills that will sharpen you as a visual artist. We're still working on our comic books. Nope, we have not stopped. We're still working on some of that stuff, but now I want you guys to actually be able to pick up on some skills to build to making some of this stuff. Last time we learned a little bit about how to shade flat surfaces and how to shade a cube. I've got a cube right here, so we were working on that. We talked a little bit about the value change and the value scale. But now, what I want to teach you guys is I want to teach you guys how to create some shading using a circular shape and a rectangle shape. Circular and rectangle. What would happen if we combined a circle and a rectangle? What would we get? What kind of shape would that become? Is it possible? Is it possible to have a circular shape that's connected to a rectangular shape? Yes, it is. And that is called a cylinder. A cylinder. And look at here. See this toilet paper roll? This toilet paper roll is a cylinder where it's round on the top. Look at that. It's a circle, right? No, it's not. It's a rectangle. Oh my gosh, it's a rectangle. No, it's a circle. No, it's a rectangle. Straight across the top, straight across the bottom, straight up and down on both sides. It's a circle. But when we turn it to the side, it becomes a cylinder. Awesome. So I want to teach you guys some things about drawing a cylinder. First and foremost, I see this a lot. Let me show you an example. I've seen some brilliant drawings done by kids where they'll draw a coffee cup. And here's the top of the coffee cup. Here's the surface of the coffee down in there. And here's the cup coming down. And here is the handle on the cup. And now when they get to the bottom, they'll do this. They'll draw it straight across because they still think about how it's flat on the bottom or it would rock off of the tabletop. They don't see it from where their vanishing point is, from their vantage point. Vanishing point is a whole different thing, and we'll talk about that in the future. Vantage point is where your eyes are coming from, and we don't see the flat surface. If we did, we wouldn't see the top of the coffee cup. We wouldn't see into it at all. It would be flat on the top, bottom, and pretty close to flat on the top as well. What we would see on the bottom of this coffee cup is an arc. That's very similar to the arc up here. Okay, so it's a little circular shape. And all of a sudden now we've got a coffee cup. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's kind of like, is this a puddle? Is that a puddle? Not really, but if it was coffee spilled up here, we would maybe see that same shape like that. A little bit of a sunlight reflection on it or something. I don't know. But what I want to do is I want to teach you guys a little bit about shading a cylinder. And think of it as a toilet paper tube. That's a really good example because you can see the value changes right there. You can see where the light hits it the most and where it goes to the darkest. Here's a tip. When you're looking at an object, or a shape, and you really want to see the breakdown of tones, squint your eyes at it so you're not seeing as much detail. And all you're seeing are tones. Because right now what I'm seeing is the darkest is behind it, and each side of this is lit differently because there's a light source there and a light source there. So I have to kind of take that into account. Whereas when I'm looking at it with my eyes normal, it's not as easy to see. But you can train yourself to be able to see that if you're working on it hard enough. I'm going to look at the top and I see an oval, okay? That's a good lesson for you too. When we're looking at a circle, a circle, let's see if I have a roll of tape. This is a good thing to use as an example. Roll of tape is a circle, right? Very perfect circle. But now when I tip it to the side, it becomes an oval. See how that becomes an O or an oval rather than a circle? Now look at it, it's just a line. What? Are you crazy? No, it's a line. Now it is an oval. Now it is a circle. Circle, oval, line. You will almost never see shapes that are perfect circles unless you're looking directly at them. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of keep that in mind, because a cylinder is an oval connected on each side to another oval at the bottom. So here I go. I'm going to kind of create an oval, and I made it really dark. Don't do it so dark. When I'm making ovals in real life, this isn't real life for me right now. This is a fake life where I'm doing lessons and crazy talk. So you want to try to kind of make it a nice clean oval, and then when you know where you want that oval to be, you can go in there and make some darker, sharper lines. Now from that oval, I'm going to kind of create some lines coming straight down, and my drawing's at an angle, a slight angle, but that's okay, as long as you guys understand it. I totally do. And at the bottom, here's the cool part. Remember what we were talking about with that coffee cup? There's an oval at the bottom of that coffee cup. There's an arc at the bottom of that coffee cup. If it was a glass coffee cup and we could see through it, we would actually see that there is a similar oval to the top at the bottom. There's a similar oval down at the bottom. See now how I'm making it really light? That's sort of how I would do it. But now I can actually take that one part and darken it. So now I've got a can of soup, or whatever it is. And I can use my eraser tool to get rid of the other side of that oval if it's not important, which is probably not. It's a good guide, but it doesn't have to be there. Now, when we're drawing an oval, typically, it works from the lightest area to the darkest area. And the cool thing about ovals is that they don't have that step change either. They don't go boom, 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 boom. There's a ramp of tone change. And I'm going to kind of make my darkest tone. No, I'm going to make my lightest tone right here. So I'm going to have my light source coming from the opposite way. So this is going to be coming down onto it from this direction. So it's kind of like boom, coming downward. And this is where the light's going to hit it the brightest. This is going to be my step 1 stuff. This is going to be my step 2 stuff, step 3, and I'm even going to go to 4 there. But now on the opposite side, I'm going to do that same thing much quicker. All right, so I'll break it down like that. Now, again, going from my darkest to my lightest, dark, 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 building it out, building it out, building it out. Kind of coming up from now I'm at my number 2 tone, building it, bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up, bring it up to 0, 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 and I'm eating up that guideline that I did there. Good, good, good. And there we go. So we're going from our darkest up to our lightest, just like that. And I can kind of go in here and emphasize them a little bit more too. Get a little bit more darkness in there so that it looks a little bit more rounded. Break it down, break it down. Now go to the opposite side and do the opposite. Going from like maybe a 3 to a 2 to a 1 in such a tiny space. Really small space, really small space. Bringing it right down, bringing it out. Barely, barely, barely. I'm going to turn it so that I can do this a little bit better. Bringing it down from my dark to my light, to my even lighter, to my even lighter, to my nothing, to the nothing, barely, barely touching it, barely touching it. And now look at how rounded that looks. That looks rounded. The spot, that also indicates that this is where the light's hitting at the brightest. So across the top is not rounded. It's a flat surface, remember? So we're going to break that down into flat surfaces, just like we did with the square. Just like we did with that cube. Squares don't have volume. Cubes have volume. So across the top, going from dark to light across the top there. And now, think about my light source coming there. That means my shadow is going to be going back here this way. Think about where my other edge of my cylinder is. And now my top might not be flat. It might be a little bit arced. A little bit arced. Just a little bit. And again, same things apply. We're going to shade across the top, shade across the top, shade across the top, Well, keeping it flat, I should say. Keeping it flat and level. And if you have a really, really harsh light source, your edges of a shadow can be really, really hard. They can be really sharp. Otherwise, shadows tend to be very soft. Oh, they're so soft. Shadows are so soft and cuddly. No, they're not cuddly. What are you talking about? You're crazy. And there's sometimes value changes that are different in a shadow. The closer it is to the object, the more light that's being blocked by that, that's where it's going to be the darkest. And we're going to build from that. And now, cylinders to me are probably the easiest thing to do. I don't know why, but I really like cylinders. They're easier than squares, easier by far than circles. Circles can be tricky, and I just think that they work out pretty nicely. So continue to practice on your circles. No, not on your circles. I haven't taught you that yet, and I will be. That's a tough one. That's coming up soon. Continue working on your squares, your cylinders, your value changes, your proportions, your human figures, your faces, your imaginary creativity shapes and things like that. Continue to have fun in the arts, because the arts can be amazingly fun. Continue to learn, because the arts can be amazingly educational. And continue to be healthy both mentally and physically. Mentally and physically, because the arts can help you there too, believe it or not. My name is Mr. Craig, and I represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay and the Youth Arts Initiative. And I thank you guys for being part of another of the Get Art Smart Shorty with Mr. Craig. See you guys soon.